Time being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Board of Health meeting to order. All members are present. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. To begin our agenda this evening, we have public announcements, specifically announcements from the Health Department. At this time, I'll turn it over to our health agent, who's back in person.
Here, no announcements.
What the heck? All right. None. Great. Any questions? No? All right, we can move on. Maybe we will be quick tonight. So we'll move on to our discussion and action items for the evening. And you're going to get to be talking on this next part, so congratulations. The first item on our agenda are discussion and a possible vote to approve the body art regulations. And everyone, with the exception of Carol, should recall that we've been looking at these for some time. We finally have got them back from town council with some very reasonable changes, which I'll let Chris talk to some of them. I know he spent like countless hours like typing this up, as well as a secondary page that was all just handed to you regarding apprenticeship. I know that is from feedback from many of the shops and practitioners in the community. So, Chris, do you want to comment on anything in particular?
Yep, sure. So I had a chance to look through town council's recommendations. A majority of it is formatting and language. The model code refers to the department. He specifies Abington Board of Health. Things like that. Some of it's just legalese. There were no major substantive changes to the regulations that he mentioned. Worth taking a look through what's in there. And that's Greg's notes. The addition here, so in speaking to a number of the shops in town, as I discussed before, the model regs that you're looking at do not address apprenticeships at all. The thought process behind NEHA, when their body art committee developed these, was that an apprenticeship boils down to a question of quality of work. And that's not something that regulators should be making a decision on. However, in speaking to actual practitioners, and actually members of the body art committee were not in agreement on this, the thought process is our regulations covering an apprenticeship is a period of time that's defined, and a defined training and a defined number of hours that somebody has to go through in order to be considered a practitioner. By eliminating that altogether, somebody could go to a shop, start an apprenticeship, do a few months, quit, go to another town and say, here's my apprenticeship permit from Abington, I'm applying to be a practitioner, and get a practitioner's license. So it was at the request of several local practitioners that we include apprenticeship ones. Now, our current regulations have a regulation for apprenticeship. So basically what I did is I just cut out, the attachment you have here is our current regulations. The highlighted sections deal specifically with the apprenticeship. The crossed out section was master practitioner. I don't know if anybody, Aaron, you were on the board the last time we looked at body art regs. Yeah. There was a lot of pushback on us coming up with the definition of a master practitioner. No other municipality does that. That's an Abington thing. So I just crossed that out.
Eliminating it.
So if the board wanted to, you could, and that's the purpose of these model regs, is to allow you to subtract and add stuff as you see fit. So if you wanted to just insert the body art practitioner apprenticeship program that we currently have on our regulations, we would just put that into, I think that would be section 14, license requirements. Because I think that it already addresses practitioner and guest practitioner, so you'd just be adding apprenticeship to
that. Excuse me.
Yeah, whoever gets
Section
there first.
15 now, page
Yeah, I
28.
was on that a minute ago.
Oh, yeah, Greg
Yeah.
did change the numbers, because he
Yeah.
added a section.
If we do move forward with these, keep an eye on that, because I think that got us into trouble with the tobacco regs trying to print them.
Is
Yeah,
that
what-
15, which would be
What
page
section did
28?
he add? Oh, Greg added a section on license requirements, that's why the numbers are different.
Isn't that the one you
Okay,
just
so that's what I
referenced?
was just referring
That's the one you were
to,
just
was that
referencing.
license requirements.
Yeah, okay.
No, this is just, what he added, license requirements, just basically outlining that no person shall operate a body art establishment in town unless they are duly licensed by the board.
There's a lot
So
in
the
there in
apprenticeship
this
is a different,
section.
that'd be a subsection, if that makes
Sub-
sense.
Do you know what page it's on?
License requirements are on page 28.
That's what, yeah, we established that, we were looking for what you were talking about.
Oh, so what I've, that came out of your current regs?
Oh,
Right, but
okay.
where did you want to put them?
Oh, so it's.
Oh, so I mean, I would just put them under what's now section 15. So you
All right,
have
that,
application requirements. There's gotta be a section there.
Maybe
Did you get a copy of this? It looks like this.
fixed body and license.
Body art establishment. Oh, body artist license, that's page 31.
E.
I know I have Nigel.
And then there's a temporary body art establishment, there's a number of them in here, but you'd just be adding a subsection.
It's like E part 2.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm actually, I'm gonna ask, because I don't know, is it normal that we put in here that we have to query every applicant?
is that under our current?
I don't know. Query and SORI must be completed for every single application. Who's paying for that?
Sorry, is that under the model regs or the,
It also says Town of Westboro. We're having this problem again.
well, at least we know where he got them from.
Yep, we know.
It's on the bill there.
Where do you see that?
Page 28. Yeah, I don't,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I don't know that.
I guess it would be the business that would pay for that, though. And then provide that information to us.
Yeah, I guess I'm less concerned about the paying for it, it seems like not a bad thing, it just
No.
seemed, I wouldn't have thought to put this in here.
I mean, we do charge $125 for a practitioner's permit, so Corey,
But if that already covers the cost to process the permit,
yeah,
doesn't that have to increase the permit then?
I mean, you could.
So, less, I don't think.
Or you
that-
could, I mean, you guys could just strike that, it's up to you.
I feel like I wanna read this whole thing again.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Half of
wanna.
the stuff's made out through different towns.
It's too much.
There's a
That's
lot
why-
of red.
that's why it
There's a
says-
lot
Too
of
much
red.
difference.
That's why it says
Yeah.
possible vote, not
Yeah.
to
Right.
vote. Okay, yeah, so, yeah, if we can maybe figure that out, do a little research, because that's just, I don't know.
Is that
The-
standard?
Well, again, this is, the issue I have, again, is that there's no rationale as to why this version is in here. Why did we put this in here? Does it look good? Is that it?
Yeah, I know, there's there's one or two spots where he does write something, but most of it is,
Yeah, it's mostly
there's no-
formatting, it's not,
yeah, there's.
well, and
no
actually, I don't even think he wrote those, I think that's,
Just a half
Word
one.
saying
Yeah.
it.
This is a lot to go over
Yeah.
during the meeting.
It's gotta be thoroughly gone over.
Yeah.
This-
Yeah.
I think
I've
we
already
all
picked up 10.
review in our own time and come back with any comments next
Alright.
meeting.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like he actually only has 2 or 3 comments.
Yeah. So, I guess the thing that's worth maybe just having a discussion about, because we obviously need to look at these more in depth, is the apprenticeship program and maybe what our thoughts are on that. Because if we do want to include it, then we can work on, when it's finally time to approve something, have that as one document as opposed to a separate handout, right? So I don't know if anybody has any thoughts about including it, not including it, or what's written here, but that might be a good time to just chat about this.
Based on what Chris was saying earlier, I think it's important for it to be included, so that way someone's just not waltzing into another shop and saying, I'm done with my training.
Right.
That would be unfair to any client.
Yeah, I do recall the master practitioner concern before, why are we defining what that means? So I'm glad that's being removed. Chris, do you know offhand, is this consistent with any other community that does this?
Yeah, so I was actually looking at a couple other towns today, and it's just the model code, so, yeah.
So the apprentice was in the previous model code?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I have no problem including it moving forward, as long as we
either.
can sort out what that license section's supposed to look like.
And we're just striking the master practitioner?
Yeah,
Okay,
so yeah, D will become C, et cetera.
okay.
And then just the citations need to be right. And an apprentice can be at least 18, right? That's still consistent in the code?
Yeah.
Okay. For the regulation. Okay. Any other questions or thoughts before we maybe move on to the next piece?
I like that they have to advise any client that they're an apprentice before they get started. So that's on Part D, well, the new Part D, apprentices on the backside.
And actually, right here, section B for when under the direct supervision of a master practitioner, should that then be struck as well?
Yeah, just supervision of a practitioner.
Of course, it's not working. Okay. Anybody have any other thoughts, concerns, questions about this or the entire regulation?
What are you gonna change that to when under direct supervision of a?
Just strike the word master, a practitioner.
I see,
Yeah, a practitioner versus apprentice.
yeah.
Or licensed practitioner?
Yeah,
Yeah, we can do that.
yeah, specify.
Licensed body art practitioner?
Yes,
Just be specific.
yes.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions?
No, we're gonna go do homework now.
Perfect. All right, everybody, there will be a test. Actually, there is a test.
There is a test, and did I give you guys a copy of the test?
Yeah, we
Yes.
have a test.
We had to pass it in order to finish the meeting,
Yeah.
so. All right, with that, seeing nothing else, we'll move on. The next item is a continuation item, which we don't even need to talk about?
No,
Yeah.
they're gonna let us know when they're ready to be before the board.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Coming to
for those of
present
you at home
still.
that aren't looking at the agenda, it was a discussion regarding the long-term storage of sludge and septage. They're not ready to come before us, as we discussed the last meeting, so we'll continue that until they're ready. But just to keep it fresh in our minds. Okay. Vote to approve the minutes of, I almost said February, April 28th and May 19th. Those should be there. Anybody have any questions or action?
I can only make a motion for the 19th, so I don't know if I should, want me to just do that one for
Yeah, that's
starters?
fine.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the 19th.
Motion to approve the minutes of May 19th. Do I have a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Perfect. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They are approved.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And then I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 28th. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Jason. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, those are both approved. Health agent report.
All right, so, 3 inspections. 529 was a housing inspection. This morning I inspected Martin's Bakery, which is back open again after their fire. And I had a second housing inspection today. There were no priority violations, and just to clarify from when someone else was sitting in for me, if there's 0 priority violations, that does not mean there were no violations. Priority violations are the ones we fine for. Our businesses have been pretty good lately. I've only had 2 recently, but I just want to make sure people understand that does not mean that there were no violations. Martin's had a mop in the bucket, which is a violation, but it's not a priority violation, so. Complaints. We received a complaint on the 27th from Abington Woods, complaint of birds trapped in the indoor hallways and leaving droppings and not being cleaned up. I spoke with building management, and they are taking care of that. With the increase in avian flu, there's a concern about having bird droppings in a walkway, so they are working on that. And I talked to the occupant this morning, and it has been cleaned up. Both on the 27th and the 29th, I got a request for a housing inspection. Those are occupants making a complaint about property owners. Those are the inspections that were noted on the 29th and the 2nd. This morning, we received a complaint of noise at 412 Summer Street, which is the new apartment complex being built over by the railway. Complaint of construction starting before 7 a.m. I called the company that owns the property, spoke with them, and they were gonna speak to the crews to remind them that construction can't start before 7 a.m. Received a complaint of an upstairs neighbor toilet overflowing. Not 100% sure that's a health department problem. I did leave a message with the occupant, haven't heard back from him yet, so. And then we get a rat complaint on Russell Lane. It's spring, rats are making an appearance again. Training conferences attended by the health agent. As you know from your last meeting, I was in Bloomington, Illinois for a private well conference. And then last week attended the MIHA annual seminar up in, I don't even know where it was, south by Sturbridge. And that's my report.
Any questions?
I have a question. So
Yeah.
does Alsco do the restaurants anymore?
No, I'm doing them.
All of them?
Yep. Trying to change the schedule. So one of the things that I had noticed, food establishments need to be done twice a year. And we had been on a fairly consistent 6-month schedule. And when I was showing up, they were expecting me. So I've been putting some work into redoing that schedule. Most of our guys are good, but I don't like them, waiting for me to show up, so.
We'll have to figure out who does me.
Yeah, I can probably get also, because they're still working with our shared
Right.
services group. Yeah, we were just trying to save some money and sending me back out there, so, but we'll work on that.
Great, anything else? Nope.
I'd like to ask Chris what he learned at the private well conference that he can bring back to us.
Quite a bit, actually. It's funny, because Massachusetts, our health officer organizations don't really focus on private wells, so that's one of the reasons I took the trip out to Bloomington, because it was an opportunity. One of the biggest concerns, I know like a lot of people are not happy about the quality of water in Abington, or perceived quality, and are looking at private drinking sources. We all draw from the same aquifer. So the town actually does treat for PFAS. And there are some concerns about private wells if you're using it for a water source. We don't know what the PFAS levels are in there. One of the things that I did bring before this board in the past, updated private well regulations would require annual testing. There are a lot of people using wells for irrigation, and we do not require testing for nitrates or E. coli. So there's a possibility people are spraying that all over their lawn as well, and we have no way to monitor that. So, a lot of information on just safety and quality of water, which was good to learn. Some really good resources that we can share with the community on, I know people are switching to filtration systems, and there's a lot of stuff on the market, and a lot of those things do not solve the problems people think they do. So we might have some resources in the future that we can share with the town, so.
Anything else? Any other questions? No? Great. Public comment? Does anybody from the public have anything they want to say as part of the meeting?
On what you discussed or something else?
It could be on anything, within reason.
Yeah.
If you could just come up here to the microphone and state your name and address.
Sit front row.
It's the best seat in the house, I would argue.
Welcome.
How are you?
Great.
Ronnie Solomini and Renee Solomini. I'm a resident of 184 Russell Lane in Abington. I guess I'm the rat complaint. I talked to Chris today about it. I wouldn't have bothered him if I knew there was a meeting today. I would have popped in instead of that, so it's got nothing to do with what not that he didn't help me today, so. So yeah, we have a rat problem. I've lived in that address since 2008. Never had a rat problem ever. My pool's been open for 4 weeks now. The pool's been there since I moved in there, and I've had now 2 rats in my pool. Sent Chris the pictures.
Yep.
He has them. Big size rats.
They died in the pool? Is that what you meant?
They were,
Oh,
they
okay.
were dead in the pool. Yeah.
They couldn't get out. Oh my goodness.
So, I live in a very nice neighborhood. Everyone's got manicured lawns, there's no trash out and about and everything else. Except for my neighbors who live at 172 Russell Lane. Am I allowed to say names, or I don't know what the
I don't
protocols
think
are?
you need to, you could just say that.
Yeah, the address should be sufficient.
They own a reptile company. He's also a town employee who was the town animal control officer. so they know, he should know the guidelines and what's going on. But rats, you know, they have a food source, they go to a food source. The amount of animals that are out in that backyard of theirs and overgrown vegetation and places for animals to hide and vegetation, it's getting out of control. It's more and more animals keep coming. There's an emu there, there's goats there, now there's chickens. I can't even tell you how many pens are out in the backyard. I've seen, they throw the food in the ground, which I'm fine, the animals have to eat, I'm okay for animals, and I'm not trying to cause a problem with my neighbors, because we've had a history in the past, and it's just about it's about the safety and security now, about my family, friends, my property. And we had a family party yesterday, the rat was taken out the day before, like, that's kind of gross to have kids go in the pool if there's a rat in there. So the rats have to come from somewhere, and there's food in the ground. They've had a dumpster in the driveway for over a month now. I don't know what the guidelines are for how that stuff works in town about dumpsters, but like, they're animals, like, one, what's the mitigation plan? Like, how many animals can they have on a property? I mean, they only have a half acre of land. The amount of structures they have in the yard and the animals is getting obscene for the size of their lot. Again, I'm not trying to cause a problem, but a resale for my house is that's gonna be a problem. You sit on my deck, all they do is turn to my left, and you can see their entire backyard and what is going on over there. The rats have to come from somewhere, so like, they're dumping food on the ground for the animals to eat. Like, what's the mitigation plan as far as cleaning up? Where's the feces going? Who's cleaning it up? Where are they dumping it? Should be getting up in the backyard like I've seen in the past, on the property line. But there should be something in writing as far as, due to the number, it's not like he's having a dog or a pet. Like, they have all types of stuff back there, that, again, what is the mitigation plan? How do you clean it up? How many times a week are you cleaning it? Where is it going? How are you treating the ground that's over there? Like, if I'm getting 2 rats now, it's only, my pool's only been open for a month, like, when there's one, there's more, like gremlins, they're multiplying, and where they coming from, like, that's the food source. Like I said,
Is there a stream around you guys too?
there's a stream to my other side of me. But again, she's
Right.
never had anything over there, I never had anything.
Right.
And the side, my pool is on that side of the other neighbors, basically, closer to their property line. Like I said, I talked to Chris earlier, who was helpful. He said he was gonna talk to them, but after going home and talking to my wife, like, I don't think him just talking to the homeowner is enough. Like, it should be something formal, like, and documented. He is a town employee.
So, and actually on that, it gets us into a gray area where we probably can't have this discussion in an open meeting, because it has to do with the town employee. And I'm not up on my open meeting law when it comes to that, so I might have to pause you there. Doesn't mean we can't do anything about whatever the issue is, but we just can't talk about it right now.
No, I just want to,
So,
like, basically.
of course, yeah,
bring it to
totally.
attention and find out,
Yeah.
like, I want stuff documented, what's going on.
Yeah,
What's the board
absolutely.
gonna do, what are they gonna do? There should be a mitigation, it's not like they just have dogs and cats.
Yeah, of course.
Like, what's the cleanup routine, where's it go? Like, is there guidelines on how many animals they can have on that size of property, or a number of structures like that? Their lot is very small, it's very condensed, like, there's overgrown stuff. I have an overgrown, if you wanna call it a greenhouse built right against my property line, which I haven't spoken to anyone about yet, that's falling apart, it's made out of pallets and not even pressure treated 2x4s, and things falling down, and it's 3 inches up my property line. It's all overgrown weeds and stuff in there, and like, it's given places for the animals to hide. Like, I've seen a gopher go in, dug a hole, and it comes underneath my fence. Again, I want the safety and security of my property taken care of, and the food source is the only one place it's coming from. There's, like you said, a dumpster in the driveway that's been there for over 30 days. I don't know what the process or guidelines is. I know people have dumpsters, so it's not a big deal, but like,
Right.
I don't know if they're dumping stuff in that, and that's where they're coming from, or what's going on. So I want something done about it.
No, thank you for coming and having this conversation. Chris is the best avenue to relay this information through. What we can do is review what's in the regulations, and if we need to do something, and it needs to be in an executive session, then we'll do it. But
I was just looking at
yeah.
those guidelines the other day, and a
Right.
lot of it was like zoning and how close you are to water and those kind of things. So,
Right, we're happy to look at it and review it. If there's something going on that shouldn't be going on, we're gonna handle it. It's just a matter of what forum that is.
Well, I mean,
That's the
I
only
just want to go on
question.
record, like I said, I want.
Of course.
yeah.
I get where I know he's a town employee, I don't want it to be overlooked, that's why I want it documented in writing somewhere, and like, you know, I want feedback as a resident in, you know, protecting my property.
Of course,
You have every right to be heard.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
yeah.
100%.
I would also say that there must be something going on, because we've had 2 rats in our yard, and we don't have, we don't have your neighbor. And the dogs found them. It's not clear, because we're backed up, well, there's some woods and there's like some wetlands down the end of the street. So I think, you know, the ecosystem has changed a little bit over time, because it was the first time I've seen that particular critter in the yard, or 2 of them.
No, I know it can happen in the eye of the woods, but I mean,
Yeah.
they go to a food source, they don't travel very far.
Right, yeah,
And, you know, I'm not trying to cause a problem for them, but it's, you know,
yeah,
1 + 1 is 2, it makes sense that that's the food source.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of animals out there,
right.
they're throwing food on the ground.
Do you have any documentation back and forth, any correspondence?
No, so my wife, went and talked to Chris a few weeks ago, showed him the picture, and they had a conversation, and I just don't know if there was something lost in translation, who was the contact to, and whatnot. Then I think she reached out to you not too long ago.
Yep.
And, showed you the picture and stuff, and talked to you.
Yeah, and I reached out to Chris, which I haven't heard back yet, but I would definitely get some documentation, get some correspondence in writing.
Yeah, that's all I really want, to make sure we were heard and it was documented, just so there's no further issues, like going forward, you know, that nothing's ignored, that's all.
Understandable.
Of course.
Is there guidelines in place at all, or protocols for the Board of Health as far as any mitigation? I mean, I guess it's not just like a dog out there, it's like, it's a
Right.
farm. Like, and then we're getting into the warmer weather,
Mhm.
It
and
smells so
it,
bad.
I can smell it at times.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, the animal
I'd have to go back and
regulations
look,
should be
but
online.
the stuff that I was looking at was all like zoning and how close you can be to water and just the cleanliness of the property, and it didn't say anything about any numbers of animals. But again, Chris would be the leader of that.
I would love that to be
This-
an option at some point.
Well, that's why I asked about the water source, because there
Yeah.
is,
Well, they have like they have a so-called fish pond they have in their yard that there's no fish in it, just basically the mosquito magnet, if you ask me, 'cause it's not even, they don't use it anymore. I see them all just like scooping out leaves, and the thing's not even used, I don't even know what it holds water, but I don't know what they're using it for. And there's all overgrown stuff around it, so, I mean, I've seen all types of animals coming through. I know it's wildlife, so I get it, like, the rats thing, that's where I'm drawing the line.
Yeah.
right, yeah, no, but there are rules, so.
The stagnant water, I think, is an issue as well, as far as
Totally.
the mosquitoes and all the illnesses that mosquitoes bring.
I see a few issues there. Have you spoken to the building department about the zoning issues with the structures close to the lot line?
I have,
Recently,
Or the
no.
lot coverage
In
or
the
anything like
past,
that?
in the
yes.
past, we had when Marshall's here.
So that's gonna be a different outlet. You wanna speak to those guys downstairs.
Alright.
That'd be their forte, zoning and lot coverage and things like
It would
that.
be under unsanitary conditions of
Oh, you have
keeping
it.
of animals.
Those are the draft, though.
I have the draft.
He said, I know he knows animals, and I'm not, this is not, like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not even saying they're unsanitary, the animals themselves, and just, but the property itself
Yeah.
is, it's inhabiting other things that
Yeah.
bring in there, and, you know, I know it's his livelihood and his business, and I'm not trying to knock that, but it's like, it's a residential neighborhood, it's not farmland, it's, we
Yep.
live very close to each other, and it's a nice neighborhood, and it's
I hear you.
not going well.
I hear you. Thank you for coming forward.
So much, thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
You guys are.
Would I hear something back, like I said, I would kinda.
Yeah,
I know
I'll-
I'm going, I'll,
Yeah, I'll be in touch with you.
Thank you.
I did get your email, so.
all right, thanks, Chris.
I believe this gentleman had something to say.
Did you want to add in?
Rick Shepherd, 148 Russell. On the topic of bylaws.
Mhm.
So, this has been a conversation that's been ongoing for several years now. A couple of years ago, what I did was I went back and I looked at bylaws that existed in small and light
Minimal.
compared, whereas other towns have pretty comprehensive bylaws about how many animals you can have on a lot of a certain size, what kinds of animals those are. Unilaterally, no roosters, every one of them, no roosters. But clothed, hoofed, I think it was, which pertained to maybe goats or whatever. But they were pretty specific in terms of here's how many of each type of animal you can have on your property. And most of those bylaws had stipulations for rodent control, waste removal, all the things that you'd expect to find in a bylaw of that nature, if you're going to keep animals on your property. Here's the things that you need to demonstrate to the town that you have in place and you're prepared to do to make sure that there aren't going to be problems. So, I would suggest to the board that if we're looking for blueprints, there's quite a few of them.
And actually, on that note, I just looked on the town's website. Animal regulations are not there. Did we not approve those? I thought
No,
we
we
did.
didn't.
We didn't?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Next meeting, we're putting those on the agenda, because I don't know why that stopped.
I think they went to town council?
Oh, and they get lost in the void. That would make sense. Okay, well, we'll go forward with that.
But this would be a good opportunity to closely take a look at that.
Can I look at that copy?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, because I think in what we had, a lot of this was addressed, and it was the stables. It was around the same time, so,
Because we were talking about chickens a little bit.
yeah, I know chickens was a sticking
Yeah,
point.
chickens and we had the rooster discussion, because
Yep, we had a whole conversation about that.
Yeah, these,
I remember why they removed the rooster thing,
the bylaws that I remember seeing.
so once, so, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're seeing other towns have bylaws, we can't make bylaws, but we can make regulations, and that's what we have, that's what's here. So we'll, and also, this is an old copy, we'll find those, and see if we can reignite getting that going, or figure out if they got lost in the void or what happened to them, to get them approved. I think it was a plan for last year, and it just didn't happen for whatever reason, so we'll get that done. Okay. Any other public comment? Ellen, you the only one in the room? No? Okay, all right, good. All right. Correspondence, does the board have any correspondence to share, or the health department, or anybody?
I do have one while we're on the subject of revisiting regulations. So I spoke with Sarah McLaughlin at Mass Health Officers Association, the tobacco control. You guys had agreed to allow them to be an agent for tobacco compliance checks. Thank you. So I sent her a copy of our current regulations, waiting for the town manager to sign the MOU. When she took a look at the regulations, so Abington was an early adopter of the new model regs, which is a good thing. However, apparently, there was some change at the state level that, as far as fines, any state fines the town can mirror. That's the 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 for sale of under 21, non-tax cigarettes selling flavored tobacco. Abington had adopted that same fine structure for local fines. That is against the law. The state does not allow that. So we're gonna have to ask the board to revisit the tobacco regs, change the language on that, just to bring our fines down to, I think they can't exceed $300.
Did you get the state law that says we can't do that? Because I'm a little miffed if that's the case.
I know, right? They pushed us to
Yeah.
do that. and
Until I see a copy of it,
Yeah.
that is not a thing I will be okay with.
I can ask
so,
Sarah for
yeah,
further
that's
information
fine.
on that too, but.
Because if it changed, it changed, but
Yeah.
if again, why did town council approve that if that was the case? Yeah, although who knows now, so,
Yep.
Westboro. So anyways, sorry. Okay. Any other correspondence? Sorry, no? Or anything to add, Carol?
So I had one follow-up to what I had earlier.
Sure.
Sorry. Chris, the conversation we had earlier, you said you're gonna talk to Joe.
Mhm.
Kind of my concern with that was, well, can that get documented? Like, I don't want the conversation kind of on the side, I kind of want it to be like officially documented in writing.
Yeah, sure, yeah, I mean, if I'm going on an official capacity,
Like, I just, I don't want it to just be like, hey, when something happens on the line, there's nothing documented to show that there was an issue before.
Yeah, sure, yeah, I can do, I'll just write a narrative of the conversation. Yeah, I can do that.
That was my concern, that's why I'm like, we need to go back.
Yeah. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you know, and this is speculation, if it's as we discussed, if it's a public nuisance, then there's gonna be an order associated with that. So I would want to document
No, I
the
just-
conversation
my point is like,
anyway.
You know, next month, a couple months down the line, there's more issues coming up.
Yep.
And then I come to you and things evolve and there's nothing showing that there was an issue
Yeah, I get you.
before. I want
Yep.
to make sure there was a
Yep, we'll
visual
document that.
capacity paper trail that this was brought to us before.
Absolutely, yeah, we can do that.
It would be documented in my meeting minutes too.
And by Abington Kim.
Yeah.
All right. Any other correspondence? With seeing nothing, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned by Katie. Do I have a
I'll
second? Second by Jason. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We're adjourned.
There you go. You're very welcome. I know.